check out my latest collection, Countryside Cuties, a bunch of cute farm animals as pins, washi tape, planner and notepad, stickers and more. I truly appreciate your support, guys. Thank you. Hello everyone! It was a while ago since we last opened a mystery art supply box, so let's do that today. I have a few that are piling up and I feel a little bad for not opening them, so I thought let's pick a few and I will try to combine them all into one art piece. So I think I'm gonna go with 5 boxes and we will just see what happens. Alright, so the first one will be this. Also shout out to Scrawlerbox for sending me these boxes. The second box, this one. Third one will be this one. Lastly, we have this one. So with all of these mystery art supply boxes, you might get art supplies that you're not that familiar with and it might be a little intimidating or overwhelming, but do not fear, you can get a bunch of tips and tricks from today's sponsor, Artist Academy. Artist Academy is your online resource for all things painting and drawing, no matter if you are a beginner, expert, or perhaps somewhere in between. Artist Academy is perfect for anyone interested in advancing their artistic skills. Members get unlimited access to hundreds of painting and drawing tutorials and video demonstrations on topics such as color mixing, illustrations, portrait, studio setup, mixed media, how to take care of your art materials, and so much more. Here you can connect with fellow artists, share ideas, and there will always be new lessons to come back to keep you inspired. I especially liked this lesson, Depth with Lines, where we get some great tips and tricks how to create depth with line work only. And I also learned from this lesson that you can apparently store leftover paint in your freezer to keep them from drying out. Very cool, no pun intended. The instructional videos are taught by friendly and talented artists that walks you through each technique with step-by-step demonstrations, sharing their expert tips and tricks. If Artist Academy seems like something for you, the first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the video description will get a full year of premium membership to Artist Academy for only $1.49, valid for new members only. Thanks Artist Academy for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to the boxes. Since we have a few boxes to go through, I'm gonna try to make the unboxing a little quicker. Alright, we have the first one. So this is box number 107. I have no idea what number of boxes they're currently at, but I feel like 107 could be maybe a while ago, I don't know. The featured art, this is so adorable by Rosemary Baker. We got hot pressed watercolor paper in this cute little pad. I love these little paper pads. I have collected a bunch of them from different Scrawler boxes and they're perfect for like smaller little projects. I will probably not be using any of the papers or if there's any canvases or anything in these boxes because I will have to use a bigger piece of paper than this to combine all the art supplies on. Judging by the art and the watercolor paper, there could be watercolors in here. We got a very thin, slim eraser, a Faber-Castell Pit Artist fine liner with a little bit of drumstick candy stuck to it, and a Faber-Castell 4B pencil. And we have the Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolors, a little pocket travel set. Look at that tiny little paintbrush. That is so adorable. This box is right up my alley. So far, so good. Let's check the other ones. I have to open it sideways or else I will bump the microphone. This one looks completely different from the last one. This is box 113, so I was correct that 107 was a few months ago. The featured art, which is super fun. I love the thick line work made by Frankie Curtis. Another cute paper pad with 250 grams white card. nice and thick. There could be fine liners and maybe paint markers in this. Yeah, we got a paint marker, we got a white Posca pen with a fine pointy tip. One of my favorites, the Unipin fine liner. These are the Faber-Castell creative markers. Seems like they're working on a bunch of different surfaces. My guess is that they are paint markers, and look at those pretty colors, and they got a very fine tip. We got some really cute color name too. We got plum cake, maple syrup, and blackout. Yeah, let's jump to the next one. This one looks scribbly. We got another cute paper pad with some toned paper. That is such an interesting style. I really like the different colors and how all the scribbles turns into this face. This is made by, and sorry if I say it wrong, but Liz Y. Ahmet. We got a pencil sharpener that has escaped. Oh, actually it got something attached to it. It is like little tiny razor blades or knives. I don't want to cut myself, thank you. Probably for sharpening crayons and stuff, because I'm pretty sure that there are crayons in here. We got a blender pen from Derwent that you can use for blending pencils and crayons, color pencils. Then we got, to be honest, quite a bland pencil case with some, oh, it is actually color pencils. We got some polychromos. I like that. I was sure that there would be crayons in this. Quite a fun color scheme too. So far we got watercolors, paint markers, and color pencils. If we don't get any super crazy art supplies, everything is working kind of well together. Also, this is box number 106. Let's move on to the next one. We got a very colorful pattern. This is box 110. Another hot pressed watercolor paper pad. Seeing the cover of the scene, I wasn't expecting this cute art. This is made by Kat, and I think I actually follow them on Instagram, maybe. We got a line maker from Derwent 0.3, an angled paintbrush size 8, and we got some Rembrandt polycolor pencils from Lyra in the pretty colors Cobalt Hell and Carmine Hell, which I assume means light in German. Then we got this Real Brush Pro from Karin or however you like to pronounce that. I have tried the Karin markers before, but not these ones. These got like a real bristle tip. I'm pretty sure that these are water soluble, so you can mix them and paint with them like watercolors. So far so good. Let's check out the last one. Uh-oh, we got some paints. This is box 111, and just seeing this color scheme, not a fan to be honest, but the featured art is gorgeous. It is made by Carolina. This is actually watercolor paper, cold pressed. I was a little worried when seeing this that it might be acrylic paint, but let's see. Yes, we got gouache, almost as good as watercolors, and a number 8 paintbrush. I'm not exactly sure what this pointy type is called. Is it a dagger? I'm not sure. Yeah, another great box. Alright, so we have a bunch of good stuff here to work with. I got pretty lucky with the combination of art supplies, I feel like, with a lot of watercolor mediums, color pencils, and pens. They should all be fairly easy to combine and use together. By swatching the art supplies, I get a better idea of what I've got to work with and see how they interact with each other and how they work with water, because we got a lot of watercolors and I don't want any of the pens smudging with the water, so I want to be prepared. The Karin brush pens gives a very interesting effect when drawn with on wet paper, so that will be a lot of fun to play around some more with. So now when we have a better idea of the art supplies, let's create the art. I got a little inspired by the artwork in the first box with a mouse and a huge lily of the valley flowers, or the flowers are probably normal but they look giant next to the tiny mouse, and I couldn't resist drawing my kitty explorer Kit setting up his camp for the night in this giant mushroom forest. I want there to be a lot of greens and plants and nature surrounding the scene, making it feel like he's actually a small creature in this giant world. Technically, aren't we all? I transferred the sketch to hot-pressed watercolor paper, which is my new favorite. I used to prefer cold-pressed with more texture, but now I like the hot-pressed. A little disclaimer, I will use some art supplies that are not included in the boxes, like the blue pencil that I made a sketch with and my usual paint brushes. I am not a super fan of the brushes that came in the boxes, to be honest, so I wanted to focus more on the art mediums themselves more than the tools. I don't think the brushes and eraser and sharpener would have made much difference in this case. So when I started working on this painting, I was super excited. I love the idea, I love the art supplies. Watercolors is my comfort art medium. I love the green, teal and yellow. Things were going great. Unfortunately, things took a different turn when I least expected it, but I will get to that very soon. For now, let's just appreciate how it's looking at the moment. I used the yellow Karin brush pen to add that extra punch of yellow around the fire, the lantern and on the leaves. It mixed really nicely with the watercolors and it just looks like it is glowing. I also used the teal brush pen to add a deeper shade of green around the edges of the painting. For the mushrooms, I used a mix of watercolors and the yellow and orange Karin brush pens, but mostly the pens. I basically have the same colors in the watercolor palette that I could use, but the brush pens had this extra concentrated pigmented look that made the mushrooms looking very vibrant, which is exactly what I wanted. I also used them for the fire and I really liked the effect that they created. I noticed that when mixed with water, the brush pens gets a softer kind of texture than the watercolors do. Pan watercolors tend to look a little grainy or granulated sometimes in a different way than liquid inks do. So take a good look at this as it is right now, because in my opinion this is the best this painting will look. In my first sitting with this painting I got as far as to outlining the leaves around the top part using the teal brush pen. Then I left it for the next day and maybe I wasn't in my best mood because I really didn't like the way the outlines looked, but I had already started so I just had to commit, so I continued outlining the plants around the border with the same teal brush pen. And I think perhaps the darker, bolder lines made the rest of the greens looking a little washed out, because it feels like a lot of the depth that I had created with the watercolors got lost. Looking at it now, to be honest, it doesn't look that bad, but sometimes you can't really explain why you're feeling a certain way for your art at a specific point. I was just having a bad day. So it was around here when things started to get a little, well, perhaps not chaotic, but a little all over the place. I was disappointed, I'm not gonna lie, that the painting wasn't turning out the way I wanted, even though I couldn't exactly pinpoint what I didn't like. So I started working in a more spontaneous or sporadic and careless way, just grabbing art supplies and adding them here and there without a lot of planning. I am usually a more cautious kind of artist, planning out the different steps of the painting and the process more carefully to make sure it will end up where I want it to, but I let go of all of that and just threw all the art supplies on there. At this point, I would have preferred just starting over, but unfortunately, I didn't have enough time to start a new painting. I have set aside 2 days to work on this, and this was halfway through day 2. no painting, no video, so I just had to continue and do the best with what I had in front of me. And at the end it did actually contribute to some sort of content, even though it wasn't really what I had in mind. It is definitely not the worst art that I've ever made. I think it turned out pretty cute and okay at the end despite all of it. And I'm pretty sure that many of you guys don't see anything wrong with this piece, because technically there isn't anything wrong, it is only in my head. Maybe you even like it, nothing would make me happier, but I had a vision in my head and the final art didn't meet up with that vision. And that is just how it is sometimes. I've experienced that many times before, but usually I don't share my failures with others, so that is a bit scary. Perhaps it is a good thing that I'm forced to share my struggles with you to take the edge out of it, and also to show some of you guys, if you're struggling with your art sometimes too, that you are not alone. All artists struggles, no matter if you're a beginner or professional, even though you usually only get to see the good art. So yeah, I'm really happy that I didn't give up and that I managed to create something fairly decent, even though I wasn't in the best place mentally, and that I have something to show you in this video. There are so many things that I would have done differently in this painting, and I will probably redo it sometimes, but for now I'm trying to see the good part, because there are a few things that I actually like. It is colorful, it is detailed, and I think the camp is looking so cozy with the tent and the fireplace and Kit enjoying some hot cocoa surrounded by the mushrooms and plants. It isn't my vision, but it is something. And I did complete the challenge using all art supplies from 5 mystery boxes to create one artwork. And besides not using the paper pads, the paintbrushes, erasers and pencil sharpener, I managed to squeeze in everything else. And yeah, the challenge may not have been so much about using all the art supplies in one painting this time, but more for me to fight my inner demons, and I won, sort of. So mission accomplished. I'm finishing it up with some white highlights with the Posca pen, which adds that little extra finishing touch that I like. I'm very happy that I had this pen because it sort of ties all together. As I've been saying, this painting is a little all over the place with all the different pens and pencils, so it is nice to add something that makes it a little more coherent, kind of. And yeah, here it is in all its glory. I hope that you guys enjoyed the art and this video. Thanks Scrawlerbox for the boxes, thanks Artist Academy for sponsoring the video, and thank you guys for watching and for keeping me company during my struggle. I will see you next time. Keep drawing my happy cats. Bye!